So, I'm trying something new. So, I think this is sick, even if Instagram disagrees. I think I did a good job in this hashtag challenge, and I'm almost certain that's a fair assessment, though not according to Instagram, who appear to have stopped anyone from seeing it. I'm getting better at knocking out solid pieces of artwork that I can be proud of on a fairly regular basis. I have more hits than misses. It used to be the other way around, and that's because I was, and still am, impatient, and I would jump to a completed piece straight away. Sometimes it worked, a lot of the times it didn't. It's not a reliable method neither, unless you're some kind of freak who can just like spunk out a finished piece of artwork straight off the top of their dome. A few years back, I started to actively try to learn how to draw and create comics, and I learnt about thumbnails, something I had never heard of until I was the wrong side of 30. Honestly, they've been a game changer because they give me a stable foundation to build off and allow me more opportunities to correct my work than starting at the end ever did. And so that's what this video is about. My process in creating this masterpiece. How it came into being and how I generally knock these things out. And how I'm trying to improve and streamline my process. Not throw too many hurdles in my path. Hurdles ruin everything. Like running, they're just not necessary. This video will also involve metaphors. I hope you'll find it interesting, and who knows, you might pick something up like how not to do the art, or confirmation that you've been doing it right all along and you've been excellent all this time. And hopefully you will dig the piece that I'm waffling on about. Go give it a like on the old Instagram and fuck its algorithm. Cocktails. That's the metaphor I'm going with. Specifically, a whiskey old-fashioned. Like all old-fashions, you can make a good one using rank whiskey or one using peach. It's just difficult, and it would be a lot easier if you used decent whiskey to begin with and never had a peach anywhere near your glass or in your house or in a 5-mile radius. It's all about the foundation. So step 1, the inspiration. The inspiration this time is obviously the hashtag challenge itself. I do try and choose challenges that, challenge me. I also try and find ones that are issued by people who don't have the same sort of style as my own. So, it's not a straight carbon copy of their original post. My degree of success in that department is up for you to judge. It's also got to tickle my fancy and inspire me, I guess. And inspired I was. When I first saw this piece, my mind immediately went to those mid-90s R&B videos. The one with a buff, sexy male singer, and he's dancing in the rain with the shirt hanging off the crook of his arms, and his hand having the occasion to run down his chiseled torso, pulling an alluring face. Truly was a golden time for music. I'm not describing an R. Kelly video, am I? I'm not googling R. Kelly. I also have an action shit for me to draw board on Pinterest for like a kind of jumping off point. And it's full of people dancing the hip hop, so that's what I end up going with. I think this is the coolest picture of Biggie. Actually, no, this is the coolest picture of Biggie, but this is a real close second. And you know what? This is a tremendously fantastic photo of Aaliyah. That's another link to R. Kelly. Markus, what the devil are you doing? Anyway, so, mind full of things to draw? Let us draw. Step 2. The thumbnails. Right, I didn't do it right this time, but this is what this should look like. You should, as a rule, sketch out at least 3 ideas as rough thumbnails. Not big, not detailed, something you can change, erase, vandalize, basically knock out quite quickly on a small scale. And the more of your idea you get out here, the more confident you can be in the later stages, the more those steps will be easier to make. Like, big details can be hashed out in the sketching and penciling stage, but like the idea needs to be here. These should be quick little sketches, and they are not for anyone else's consumption, unless you're like me and you keep showing them to people. If you're doing a single piece like this, You don't have to be super clear. You just have to kind of get the broad strokes down, the envelope, the gesture lines, if that's what you're comfortable enough with, and go on to the next step. You could also be really detailed in this stage. It's up to you. You know, as long as the idea is here, that's the important thing. I mean, you'll be doing your own technique to this anyway. Either loosey-goosey or more detailed, whichever makes you happy. But the idea needs to be here. If you're doing thumbnails for a comic, then you probably want to be doing much crisper thumbnails anyway, because you won't be working from these thumbnails straight away, and trying to figure what you were thinking a couple of days ago can be difficult. But that's a video for another day. So once you've got your thumbnails, choose your favorite one, obviously, and go from there. And if your favorite one turns out not to work, you have at least 2 more options to fall back on. So step 3, the rough sketch. Take your thumbnail, blow up to the size of your canvas, and just gussy it up. Get the proportion right, put in stuff like eyes, hands, backgrounds, extra, basically correct it, you know. Again, like the thumbnails, you don't have to be precious about this stage, only for your reference. Any significant changes, like, you know, the pose, position of the arm, position of the person in relation to the environment, the gender of the person, the ethnicity of the person, you know, any fundamental changes to your piece that you're going to do should be done at this step. I mean, it won't be, because that's not how life works. All things being equal, it's easier to fix and change at this stage rather than a few hours down the line when you're kind of in the weeds and it's hard to see the forest for the trees. It's like deciding you want a pina colada instead of that tasty old fashioned, but you've already put all the ingredients into the glass and have stirred and are about to serve. So step 4, the penciling, my favorite part. So this step is kind of the point of no return. Correct all those mistakes, like the head being too big, the legs not being long enough, the eye alignment. This is the point where I also try and defeat my old foe, the artist lean. God, how I hate you. Oh, it's enduring when Jock does it, but when I try to engage in such frivolities, I come off as quite the wanker, don't I? It's weird. It's weird. Now that I know that this thing exists, I can never unsee it now from all of my artwork. Like if I go back, I go, oh, everything is janky and all tilting to the right. Luckily, Clip Studio has a brilliant feature called the canvas flip to help combat such things real life doesn't have, which makes real life terrible unless you have a lightbox. Lightbox is the best thing. If you work solely traditional, like, you should get yourself one or make one. It's worth its weight in gold. But I say, the penciling stage is the point where you can correct all your mistakes, add the finishing details, and voila, you're on the final stretch. 90% of the work is done, the end is in sight. Yay! This is the step, for me at least, you should feel the most confident in your work. This is when it should look the best to you, because it's mostly finished. Are your pencils all that in a bag of chips? Yes, groovy. Well, then the rest is gilding that lily. No. Well, you can gild that turd, but it'll be a lot more difficult, and I've never been happy with the end result than when, say, the pencils were all that in a bag of chips, when everything had been basically finished at that stage. Penciling's a lot more malleable than inking, you know, even though both are digital and stuff, it's just like you can erase pencils a lot easier than you can erase inks and stuff. So being stuck in the penciling stage is a lot better than being stuck in the inking stage. It's better to ruin a cocktail with dandelion and burdock bitters than trying to salvage a mean cocktail with Jack Rudy cocktail cherries. Inking line art. So, the home stretch. The last 10% of any journey is always the hardest. And this is a step where you can truly shoot yourself in the foot. The simple fact is, the more you add to your pencils, the more of a subtraction it can be. But that is why Jim Lee has Scott Williams. They are 2 different disciplines. They are 2 different images of the same subject. I personally find it a lot easier to think of the inks in this way. From now on, I'm improving the inks instead of trying to improve the pencils. I know some cats can skip this step and go from a simple gesture line to the finished inks, but that ain't me. Maybe one day. As I said, the more completed the pencils are, the more the image is finished, the more streamlined and fun the inking stage will be. Like in this image, I didn't finish the eyes. I didn't finish off the eyes, the shoes, and the hair in the penciling stage, and I had to improve them in the inking stage. This time it wasn't a massive deal breaker, and I wasn't spending all the hours your god sent trying to correct them. However, instead of improving on my inks, I was improving on my pencils. Again, it wasn't so bad this time. I can draw eyes well enough, nobody cares about shoes, and I think the hair turned out delightful. But it would have been better if I'd figured out where the hair flick was in the penciling stage rather than the inking stage. Also led to a lot more kind of erasing in the penciling, in the inking stage. Kind of fucked up my flatting stage. The amount of time I've been stuck in the inking stage trying to fix something and it spitballs, and gosh darn it if that ain't the worst few hours of anybody's day. And it's usually when I'm tired. I've been at it for hours and hours and I'm achieving nothing except making the eyes more and more and more janky. Always those bloody eyes. This is also probably a good lesson to know when to step back, give yourself a rest, and finish reading We Can Never Go Home. I'm joking. You read We Can Never Go Home in one sitting. It's the Pringles of comics. Step 6, the flats. Yes, no. Step 7, the colours. No, this is already... No, I won't subject you to that. This video's already been long enough and I need to, and yeah, I could probably do with its own video. But I do try to tend to limit my colour palette as much as I can, but yeah, fuck, that is a video for another time. So, in conclusion, that's my process. I'm forever trying to improve it and streamline it and, have more successes than fails. Because a fail can take more of a puff out your petticoat than any win can make you think you can reach right up and touch the sky. I found that by doing the thumbnails and rough sketches, which I never used to do, my success rate is a lot higher. As I said, I only discovered thumbnails a few years back, and it's been kind of a game changer. As I said, I used to jump straight from a finished piece with no prep work, just straight off the top of my dome, the best image I could do all the time. And when it was good, it was good. When it was bad, it was depressingly bad. There's no doubt about it. The more prep work you do, the more you stack your own deck, and don't have to rely so heavily on luck and, talent. If you like me, you've been stuck in a dead end and you have never heard of thumbnails before and have now found a new way to improve your workflow or start your work, then cool. I'm glad I could help. One of these videos helped me. Hopefully I can pass it on. It's like using weak, flavourless whiskey to make a cocktail. You can make a decent drink in the end, it's just the path you travel might not be worth the effort. Better ingredients equal a better foundation equal better cocktails. And that's it for today. Thank you for your time. Click like and subscribe if you want. My social media noise is in the below, as well as the links to the stuff that I was advertising throughout the video, as well as my Patreon account. I hope you're having a lovely day, and if not, well, a wise dude once proclaimed, shit happens. Get the whiskey.